A new vent has opened at the Yellowstone supervolcano, and the Campi Flegrei supervolcano of Italy could erupt at any moment. Michael Snyder reports, are two of the most dangerous volcanoes in the entire world starting to wake up? And let's not forget Santorini, which had a super eruption 3,600 years ago, VEI 7. Now that's Santorini in Greece. We live at a time when seismic activity is on the rise all over the planet. More than 36 volcanoes have recently erupted, and there have been more than 850 earthquakes in California and Nevada within the past 7 days. Unfortunately, most people are not taking the threat that we are facing seriously. For example, an eruption of the Yellowstone supervolcano could instantly turn all our lives upside down and make most of the country uninhabitable for an extended period of time in the event of a super eruption. The ground in some areas of Yellowstone has been rising for quite some time, and now a brand new hydrothermal vent has opened at the base of an ancient lava flow. While driving south from Mammoth Hot Springs towards Norris Geyser Basin early on August 5th last summer, a park scientist noticed a billowing steam column through the trees and across a marshy expanse, wrote Yellowstone National Park geologist Jeffrey Hungerford and Kiernan Fudge-Donahue. The eagle-eyed scientist notified the park geology team to verify if this was indeed a new activity, and it was a new activity. The steaming hydrothermal vent is located at the base of the ancient lava flow, and geologists measure its temperature at 171 degrees Fahrenheit, and it could be newly spawned activity from a steaming feature previously found nearby in 2003. Thankfully, seismologists do not expect Yellowstone to erupt right now, but when it comes to the most dangerous supervolcano in Europe, it's a much different story. According to the Daily Galaxy, there has been a surge in seismic activity at the Campi Flegrei supervolcano during the past year. In the shadow of Mount Vesuvius, a much larger and potentially catastrophic threat looms beneath the ground. Campi Flegrei, the most dangerous supervolcano in Europe. Over the past year, a surge in seismic activity has sent shock waves, literally and figuratively, through the region, fueling fears of an impending eruption. With over 2 million people living in the potential blast zone, the question is no longer if the sleeping giant will wake up, but when it will wake up. The Campi Flegrei supervolcano covers an area of 77 square miles, and one expert is publicly warning that it could potentially erupt at any moment. An Italian expert warns of a possible supervolcano eruption in Naples. Are we prepared for such a disaster? The Naples region in Italy regularly experiences earthquakes. Beneath the surface of the land sea lies a massive supervolcano covering an area of 77 square miles. Giuseppe Mastrolorenzo, a volcanologist from the National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology, NGV, warns that the volcano could erupt at any moment without warning. Why isn't this getting more attention in the news? Mastrolorenzo says that a full-blown eruption of the supervolcano could possibly release 10 times as much energy as the eruption that destroyed Pompeii in 79 AD. He added that recent earthquakes, including a 4.4 magnitude one last week, might be harbingers of an eruption. The evacuation plan involves moving 500,000 people within 72 hours, which Mastrolorenzo considers a very optimistic hypothesis. If an eruption were to occur, the disaster for the region would be enormous. The energy released during the eruption could be 10 times greater than that and than what destroyed Pompeii in 39 AD. The volcano has been emitting more and more carbon dioxide for years, recently 5,500 tons every day. The emission of hydrogen sulfide, among others, is the Solfatara crater, has increased fivefold. The super eruption is long overdue, concluded Mastrolorenzo. So he claims the super eruption of the Campi Flegrei is overdue. You may not care much about this, since Campi Flegrei supervolcano is on the other side of the planet. But you should, because a full-blown eruption could potentially trigger a volcanic winter, which would cause a horrific global famine. The potential consequences of a Campi Flegrei eruption are terrifying. In a best-case scenario, toxic ash and gas could devastate local agriculture and force mass evacuations. But in a worst-case scenario, the eruption could trigger a global climate catastrophe, plunging the planet into a volcanic winter with disastrous consequences for food production and ecosystems worldwide. Meanwhile, lots of other once dormant volcanoes are already erupting all over the world. For example, it was being reported that a volcano in Indonesia that just erupted was shooting ash and smoke more than 8,000 feet into the air. A volcano on Flores Island in Indonesia woke up island's residents early Friday when the latest eruption episode sent ash and smoke up 8,200 feet into the air, according to local geological officials. The Lewotobi-Laki volcano on the southeastern part of Flores Island in Indonesia continues to erupt. Indonesia sits right around the Ring of Fire, and so it is very alarming. An even more recent report appears to indicate that smoke and ash from the eruption may now have reached the level of 53,000 feet. A new very strong eruptive phase began at the volcano at 20:30 local time tonight and is still ongoing at the time of this update. The activity of the volcano accelerated at 22:56 local time and produced a tall ash column rising about 8 kilometers above the summit that is drifting west and southwest according to the local volcano observatory. The Volcanic Ash Advisory Center, VAAC, Darwin, issued a warning to aviation about the ash plume rising possibly to even higher altitude of up to 53,000 feet. That's approximately 16 kilometers up. Now that is quite dramatic. But mainstream news outlets in the U.S. would rather talk about politics. On U.S. territory, the most active volcano in Hawaii is shooting molten lava hundreds of feet into the air. Lava from Hawaii's most active volcano created fountains that reached 700 feet on Thursday during the latest episode of the ongoing eruption. Kilauea began continuously releasing lava from its summit caldera inside Hawaii Volcanoes National Park on Wednesday morning after a week-long pause. The U.S. Geological Survey said the molten rock was contained within the park and was not threatening residential areas. Large fountains reached heights of up to 500 feet to 700 feet on Thursday morning, the USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory said, and some residents of Alaska are now being advised to prepare for a potentially imminent eruption of Mount Spur. And we just had a 6 magnitude and swarm in the middle of the Aleutian Island volcanic system there today. Now, scientists are preparing and are urging people who live in south central Alaska to begin preparing for a possible eruption of Mount Spur volcano. The Alaska Volcano Observatory said now is a good time for Alaskans to familiarize themselves with the possible hazards of a spur eruption, following last week's announcement that the likelihood of an eruption has indeed increased. The major hazards to Alaska residents from spur would be from ash risk to aviation and possible ash fall, the observatory said on a Wednesday post on X. Before I end this piece, I wanted to mention an alarming earthquake that we have been seeing in Southern California in recent weeks. Last Sunday, yet another significant quake shook the city of Malibu. Another earthquake has rattled an area near the coastal city of Malibu in South California. A magnitude 3.9 earthquake was reported 8:17 p.m. Sunday, about 7 miles northwest of Malibu, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Prior to that event, there had been a whole bunch of other sizable quakes in the area. Sunday night's quake near Malibu came after a magnitude 3.3 earthquake struck near the same area on March 10, and a 2.8 and a 3 magnitude quake on March 9. Additionally, a magnitude 4.1 quake struck on March 9 near Westlake Village, northeast of Malibu. On February 15, a 3.5 magnitude quake struck about 6.8 miles from Malibu and 9.5 miles from Thousand Oaks, USGS reports. A magnitude 3.7 earthquake struck 11:44 p.m. Friday, February 14, roughly 7 miles northwest of Malibu. It's just a matter of time before the big one hits California. Personally, I'm convinced that it's going to strike a whole lot sooner than most people think. Sadly, most people that live along the West Coast tuned out such warnings long ago, and one of these days, time will finally run out. This is by Michael Snyder on End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. About the author, Michael Snyder's new book, a blockbuster entitled Why, is available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He also has written 8 other books available on Amazon, including Chaos, End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of Future America, The Beginning of the End, Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to publish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.